Hi, everybody. This is Joe Maldonado from Griffin's Claw, the School of Practical Magic. And we have with us today Patty Wallenberg. And I am very excited about this topic. This is about the Celtic calendar and how it actually applies to the seasons, our lifestyle. I have a lot of questions because I'm not that familiar with it. But we were just saying, I resonate with all of it. So, and I'm sure that at some point, I was there. I was being very Celtic like. So on that note, Patty, can you just start us off? Tell us, what is the Celtic calendar? Let's just start from there.
Okay, I can do that. So Celtic calendar is a more modern wording of things, and you'll hear it called the pagan calendar. You'll just hear it called holidays, witches' holidays, Sabbats, Sabbats, Sabbats.
Okay.
There's a multitude of language, which is very common in the pagan followings because we don't have anything very precise. But what the calendar does, or what the calendar is basically shows, is it is a solar calendar. And it honors the big holidays, which are the big sun events, which are the equinoxes and the solstices. Big times of year for people. I mean, if you think about monuments that are built throughout, especially if you're looking at England and Scotland and even parts of France, Europe, massive amounts of cultures honored the equinoxes and solstices. You have Stonehenge, you have Chichen Itza, you have stuff going on in France, you have Newgrange in Ireland. So all of these cultures watch the heavens and the movements of the sun in particular. And they built these great massive monuments to honor them. And that's a kind of a clue as to how long ago people have been watching the movement of the sun. Obviously, they watch the stars too. They also watch Venus. But many cultures throughout the world honor the equinoxes and the solstices.
Right.
So those are in the Celtic calendar, or the pagan beliefs. Those are four of our bigger holidays. They call them fire holidays. They're big sun holidays. And then if you think of the in-between, between an equinox and a solstice, you have that middle part, and we call those cross-quarter holidays. And so those also are important to us because they mark the passage of time.
Okay.
But they also become part of 8 celebrations that most people who practice any type of paganism, druidism, etc., honor and celebrate. There's time frame for those. There is separate ritual for each of them. Some are spring and planting rituals, fertility rituals. Some are harvest rituals. And then, of course, you have the full cycle of the year being marked and delineated throughout the season too. So it's a seasonal calendar. It's a watch of, your equinoxes and solstices, your big movements. And then there's, of course, also the cultures that also in paganism, we also then blend in the maiden, mother, and crone. The 3 aspects of the goddess. So it is also the dynamic between the god and the goddess in our belief that is, whether it's in power or out of power. So it is that yin and yang kind of balance of stuff too. So it's kind of complicated if you like. It doesn't have to be. What is interesting about the calendar is, as Christianity came in to effect and take over many of the places where the quote unquote pagan people used to worship, they adopted a great deal of their culture and their ceremony and their things. And so like we just celebrated Easter.
Right.
So Easter has a lot of its tradition, yes, in Jesus and rebirth, but it also comes from some of this stuff that the pagans would do in our rituals for Ostara. which is
Right.
the spring equinox.
Right.
So again, it's a rebirth. It's the earth coming back to life. So there's a blend between the two.
So if you were to take a star, for example, and Easter, so what would be some of the major similarities between the two holidays that
right
we would see right offhand?
Sure. A lot of it is about regeneration, rebirth, bringing back the light. You're talking the spring equinox, where the sun starts to gain its power. The older peoples would do their plantings then. Soil, it's also a fertility time. Your animals start to mate, your plants start to bloom. So what do we have for Easter? We've got rabbits, we've got eggs.
Yeah, lots of eggs.
Lots of eggs, lots of rabbits. Also, a fertility icon is rabbit.
Right.
And then you also have the regeneration of things, the rebirth of things. You have the rebirth of Christ and the belief behind that. So they may not be identical, but there is a blending of the two. And that happens in a lot of the holidays. That was a way to kind of bring Christianity to become more accepted if it blended some of the old pagan followings into it.
Right. So I don't want to give too much away because I know you're going to be teaching this on May 1st, but if you take what the pagans did eons ago, or elders did eons ago, in the celebration of a star, for example,
sure,
how are those rituals or ceremonies similar to what we call Easter today? Or what would the similarities be between what they did?
Right.
Now,
well, they would
or how is it carried through today? Has it changed much?
I'm probably assuming that some of it has changed. I'm sure that they would have done maybe a bit more sacrifice. Of course, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
So, there probably would have been some type of animal slaughter, blood ritual-ish, to bless the lands, to bless the grounds. That's very common in old cultures around the world, right?
Right.
So we've moved away from those sort of things, but that doesn't mean that the theory and the thought's still not there.
Yeah, the idea of sacrifice or giving something to, in honor of that kind of thing. Gotcha.
Exactly. Gotcha. Thanking the earth and welcoming the earth and asking the earth to provide again for another season.
Yeah.
So
now, I'm a little bit slow at this stuff,
It's
and
okay.
I was watching the show, The Wheel of Time, and I'm like, what is this Wheel of Time? Well, it's actually, where's the wheel? And so here I'm like, wait a minute, this is the Wheel of the Year. Why is it called the Wheel of the Year? Because it's round and it goes around and around and it's cyclical. Okay, that was a good guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it marks the passage of time.
Yeah.
Based on the sun.
Based on the sun.
Of course, there are lunar calendars. There are other ways of marking time, but this is specifically solar. This only has to do with the sun.
Yeah.
And the points that were very important to either make sure that you planted at the right time, to make sure that maybe, Mabon, which is May 1st, is a fertility ritual called Beltane. And so you've got May 1st, Beltane, fertility ritual. A lot of the peoples maybe kept very separate during those times, and the men and women would come and have, great big parties back in the day. But it ensured that your birth time would be in the right cycle, the right time, to make sure there was enough food for you and your child to eat while that child grew. It was all about survival. So a lot of the rituals set up for that. There's deities for each one of them. There's different gods and goddesses that they would call in, maybe reenact, dress up as, especially at Beltane.
Right.
So there's this whole ceremony that goes on. And if you are a practicing pagan or even druid of some sort, we still do rituals similar to that.
Okay.
That's part of, our coming together. is we come together for our holidays.
Yes.
And there's certain rituals in each coven or group have different ones.
Yeah.
Probably all very similar, but very different depending on who teaches you. You know, it's kind of a very fluid belief system.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anything that says you must do A, B, C, and D.
Right.
There's a lot of different interpretation, and there's a lot of openness about how you celebrate your holidays. You could do them as a group. You could do them as a solitary.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a group. I can set up an altar at home. So certain people might set up a holiday altar for each of our holidays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, you bring in things from outside. You might take a picture of your god and goddess. You might have statuary. You might set up a candle. You could bring in plants from the outdoors, leaves, acorns, depending on the season.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty vast depending on how much you really would like to do.
So starting with a star, because we're just there.
Because we're just finished.
Right. Can you go through the holidays as they are in succession after that?
Sorry, my head's kind of stuffy, so sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
So I'll be mad. Okay, so if we are currently finishing Ostara, our next holiday would be May 1st, which is Beltane. Okay, so it's a cross-quarter holiday that's in between.
Yep.
Okay, then you have Litha, which is the summer solstice. Also a fun one. And there's several names too. So the names might not be what you recognize. There are several ways. There's a couple of different ways of doing it. I usually just call it midsummer. But you will sometimes see, and depending on the books you read, different ones. And then we have Lammas, which is August 1st, again, a cross-quarter holiday. And then you have Mabon, which is the fall equinox. Okay. And then we have my favorite one, Samhain, which is Halloween.
Yes.
Okay. Another cross-quarter holiday, but an important one. You know, that's the holiday, kind of, you know, we went a little bit backwards in time, but November 1st is kind of the close, the winter's coming, the harvests are done. It's sort of the pagan new year. The veil is thin. It's the time that we honor the ancestors. We just had our ancestor class, but for pagans and stuff and belief, this is the time that we honor our ancestors. Is Samhain. It's the time that you're able to communicate with them. I have a friend, I write a candle ritual for every year based on the moon and the astrology of the timing of Samhain. And she creates these stunning ancestor and friend altars with her friends and her pets and her family, just these altars of people who have touched her life. And they're always the same theme, but there's a little nuance to it based on what cycle of the moon we're in, what phase of the moon, what sign it's in. So I custom write her a little ritual to go with it. But her altars are amazing.
Wow.
And then we have the winter solstice, which is called Yule, which is Christmas. So it falls a couple of days right before Christmas. And again, the pine and the lights, all of those things are kind of okay. They all tie into Christmas. And then we have one more cross holiday, which is in between winter solstice and spring equinox, which is called Imbolc, which is February 1st, which is Groundhog Day. So it's kind of funny how the calendar kind of got absorbed into the things that we do today. And it's funny because most of us don't even realize that it was something else before. That the traditions and the weird things that we do on those holidays come from really old tradition that just kind of just got blended in and absorbed. But so again, 8 of them. And you know, they each have a little nuance to them. You know, so I'll talk about the god and goddess that's associated with each, colors, maybe things you might want to do if you decide you want to do altars for those holidays. So
I think too that like the more you call in, as you are manifesting or giving homage to, or we're asking, for something, the more you call in of those type of elements that are relative to the holiday, the stronger, your plea, your gratitude, whatever it is, whatever it is that you're doing, right? I mean, it's just calling in all the energy. So I'm really excited to hear about the goddess, aspect of it, because this is new to me and I'm not that familiar with it, but I can relate to certain goddesses, during certain times. And I thought, geez, I've been doing this since I was like 12, I didn't know who these were, the names were just coming up, and, I was kind of embarking on that road, on that path. So this is extremely exciting for me.
And it also puts you back in touch. We have calendars and stuff that tell us when things should be, but people didn't need calendars to tell them when time was. And we've all lost sight. I guess we're probably a bit more aware of a solar calendar because that's kind of what we follow. But again, there's that aspect even of a lunar calendar. There's cultures that still follow that. There's still traditions that still do that. You've got Chinese New Year. You've got Passover, you've got Easter even. Those holidays shift. Ramadan. You have all these cultures and holidays that shift based on lunar calendars that we don't even talk about in our culture and society. We're just like, oh, well, Easter just happens to fall on this Sunday. Well, why? Why isn't it the same day every year? So we've actually really lost the rhythm, which is what I do like about this, is we've lost the rhythm and the honoring of the way that the world works when we don't think we're in control of it.
How to align with the seasons, how to align with the earth better. So that's what we're going to be talking about during the class, correct?
We'll talk about that too.
Because I'm really, I do feel like I'm aligned, and I know, and I can remote view, and I can do, say, commentary, and I can pick up dirt, and I got the energies and all that stuff. But, I think there's a little bit more, that I myself, would like to learn about. And that is, to have a stronger connection. For me, it's always based on understanding. So if I understand, and I can comprehend it, I have the knowledge of a specific season, and the rituals, and some of that's going to resonate with me, and I think that's true to everybody. I mean, you can give us a list of 10 different things that, you can do during a specific time. But not everything's going to resonate with everybody. Some people are just, hey, I really like that rabbit thing, or I really like the egg thing, or I really like the Yule log, or. And I think it's just a matter of what resonates with you, and understanding. And again, understanding is power, so, as you have more power, you can be more, more concrete with your manifestations, basically. That's my theory anyway. So.
And if you're more in sync with the way that the world is moving, the natural forces that are already in place, then I would think that, anything that you're trying to manifest, anything that you're trying to get in alignment with, trying to find your own personal balance, even, and a lot of us like to make altars, reminders of things. I taught a class on altars for you. And it's kind of nice to remember and change out your altar so they don't get stale. And
I usually do that seasonally. I change things out. It's kind of good to get the dust off, get the crystals all polished, send them out, and all that kind of stuff. There's a question here. Someone asked, is there anything special happening on May 19th? I don't know. What is May 19th? No? Okay, so no,
it's not part of what we're talking about today. It doesn't mean that it's not an important date for something else. But it May 1st is one of the cross-quarter holidays. Beltane, one of my favorites because it's the party one. Go out and dance, go out and party, go out and play. It's fun, it's festive. But as for May 19, it is not part of what we're talking today.
I just quickly checked our school calendar. We have nothing on that day either, so I'm not quite sure.
No, I don't
We
know.
do have something on May 21st. We have a class on shamanism, but on May 19th, not seeing that. So sorry. We have answered your question though. No, there was nothing happening on the 19th.
Well, no, that cannot be true. That might not be for what we're talking about
Yeah,
today, but
exactly.
it could be.
Yeah.
There we go. May 15, she's saying, is Buddha's birthday.
Okay.
So May 19 might be, a Buddhist holiday instead.
Okay.
I didn't check my calendar because I didn't want to dig through my phone, but when I'm done with the interview, I shall.
Yeah.
Because there are other cultures who have other holidays and ceremonies. That could be a lunar holiday of some sort.
Yes. Well, there are so many cultures, so many ceremonies. And I think I love the diversity of all of that because, like I said, something is going to resonate with you more than not. I mean, and that's what we always talk about. It's like somebody, for example, we talk about spell work, which is slightly off the subject, but what is the spell for love? Well, there is nothing that's concrete. It's what resonates with you. You might take a little bit of this, a little bit of crystal there. You make up your own spell work, and I just kind of.
But you can use the holidays for spell work too. Why do you think we come together as a group to celebrate?
Yes,
we do spell work. We do magic together.
Yes,
and the forces are behind you for decades, centuries. Of people doing ceremony for that. I mean, they still go to Stonehenge.
Yes,
even though they've closed it off. They still show up. The Druids still go to Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge. Maybe 10 days before the summer solstice. It's extraordinary. You could just feel it. It just hums. I've been to a lot of the stone circles, the pyramids, things that are in alignment with the holidays. We even have Indian mounts here in Georgia I go to that align with the solstice. And I go, when the manager was there that, would let me, I'd sneak on the property early in the morning and watch the sunrise. I'd bring some incense and, a cup of tea, and I'd sit there and I'd thank the gods and goddesses for bringing back the world and life every day. And if you are doing, depending on the type of magic you're doing, you might want the kind of long connection for something that is definitely going to be part of what you're asking for in your spell work.
Somebody's typing very adamantly here. Talk more about Stonehenge. I know when I was looking for images to use, to help promote the classes.
I'll take out my photos.
And someone posted, you mentioned that, they kind of, taped off Stonehenge now. And there was a picture online with the yellow tape around it so you can't get to it. And, whoever this was with their iPhone was like crawling under the tape and taking pictures. And I thought, wow, do you know why that is? Was there
oh yeah, there's a definite reason for that. How do I say it without being really rude? I'll
you want to say it while I'm not recording, and then we can talk about
it. No. But they've taken Stonehenge in particular. They've done it with several other sacred sites, and they turn them into tourist attractions.
Yes.
They have been trying for years to even make the roadway around Stonehenge go underground. So you can't freely see Stonehenge on the plane while you drive by it.
Wow.
For us to have gone in, and this is, I don't know, this is probably 15, 18 years ago, I went to Stonehenge. The tour company that I traveled with at the time had special permission. And we had a block of time at sunrise.
Wow.
Trust me, we were not happy going there at sunrise because we had a 3-hour bus ride to get there, and he woke us up at like 1 a.m. But of course, once we got there, we were like bang up. So, amazing. And so that whole area of England is one of my favorites. I also see the question, Glastonbury is one of my most favorite places on earth. If you've never been to Glastonbury tour, I don't think we do a class on labyrinths, but it is the only 3-dimensional labyrinth in the world. So yeah, so I've done a lot of travel in there. So you've got like Newgrange in Ireland. I've been there. I have to go look up my photos so I can bring some of the photos to the class. But they have this cairn. It's a big dome stone thing that they built, and they have this tiny little window. But on the winter solstice, the sun hits it exact, and it goes all the way in through the middle of the cave, for lack of a better word, the dome, and lights up everything. So many cultures understood. Chaco Canyon's another one, not that I've been to yet, but it's on my list. Chichen Itza on the spring equinox, the sun goes down the side of the pyramid looking like a snake's back. So all of these cultures that didn't have telescopes and all of these things honored and knew the trackings of the sun and Venus and the moon were all very important to many of the cultures. So, so the Celtic calendar is kind of a nice tie-in, because the winter solstice and the summer solstice were very important to many of the cultures. They spent so much of their lives building these monuments to it that still stand. They still don't know, a lot of how they built them or why they built them. They're not entirely sure about them 100%.
There's for those of you that are interested, Patty's taught a lot of classes for Gryphon's Claw, and they're recorded, so you can just go ahead over to our website, just look on the courses, and all the classes are under the courses. The courses are all listed.
A couple coming up this year too that are new.
I know. It's very exciting. This is really cool. I want to thank everybody that has been on the call. Are there any other questions? We will be talking more specifically on May 1st, which is Patty's actually going to teach the class here in Florida, and she's flying in for my birthday. So we're going to do live.
I know, we'll be co-chair.
We'll be co-chairs. So May 1st is a great day. It's just happens to, but was planned to fall on a holiday. Beltane. So we're going to be, I'm sure tying in a lot of Beltane stuff. I can't wait to get into the goddess stuff. And for those people that are interested into goddesses and how to work with them, Heidi Brahm, also one of our teachers, has taught, and it is recorded, a class on how to work with goddess energy. So you can find them also in our recorded classes. If not, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. And then everybody that is on the call, please stay tuned and feel free. We're going to just go crazy and chat. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you for those that are listening to the recording. Patty, thank you from my heart for doing this. And I'm going to pause everybody else.